a readathon. That did not go to plan. For those of you that are unaware, I am a massive fan of Halloween. The spookier, the better. My comfort genre for films is horror. If you couldn't tell, I'm kind of living my best life falling into autumn. But this year I am even more excited than usual because I am taking part and hosting a readathon. So get your tickets at the ready, grab your popcorn and take a seat for Fright at the Movies. Fright at the Movies is a month-long readathon and we have 4 different categories for our 4 lovely hosts. For each category there are 4 different prompts. My category is psychological. Although we have our 4 categories with 4 prompts each, you can pretty much do whatever you want. You can stick with one category, you can stick with 2. You can kind of dib and dab into all of them, or just kind of live your best life and come along for the ride. Every prompt you will see on this readathon is based off of an iconic horror or thriller film. In some cases, maybe they aren't the scariest, but are they a classic? Of course. As the psychological host, I have 4 different films with 4 amazing prompts. To start off with a bang, I have Silence of the Lambs. For those of you that don't know, Silence of the Lambs is one of my OG favourite horror films. I actually have a very distinct memory of watching it for the very first time when I was 12? Maybe. And let me tell you, Buffalo Bill to a 12-year-old was a real interesting thing. For the Silence of the Lambs prompt, because our man Hannibal Lecter was a psychologist, we thought, what better to do than read a non-fiction book? Now, the book you read doesn't have to be a horror, it doesn't have to be a thriller. In fact, it doesn't even need to be spooky in the slightest. I, on the other hand, however, am probably gonna read a nice little non-fiction book about serial killers. I mean, it's me. Are you really surprised? Our next movie prompt is based off of The Shining. Obviously, everyone's seen The Shining. If you haven't seen The Shining, you should probably see The Shining. It's kind of iconic. Just putting it out there. And for this, our prompt is an unreliable narrator. Even though we technically don't have an unreliable narrator in The Shining book, just saying, can anyone really trust Jack Torrance? Methinks not. Methinks not. For this, you could do a classic fave, which kind of broke the internet when it first came out, The Girl on the Train, or maybe if you're hitting up my kind of vibe, you could do American Psycho, because can you actually trust anything Patrick Bateman said? No. But maybe that's just me. Our next prompt is based off of the amazing film Get Out. If you haven't seen Get Out, you need to. Hello? Hello. It is unreal. And obviously, what would be better for this prompt than read a book by a person of colour? Personally, for this prompt, I am probably gonna read one of the many thrillers that I have written by amazing Asian authors. However, you can read pretty much anything you want. Just make sure you are giving some rep to an amazing author of colour. And last but not least, Psycho. If you don't know this about me, I have a history with Hitchcock films, but we're not going to get into that. Actually, no, I'll briefly tell you. I did film studies as an A-level, so I have lots of memories about Hitchcock films. And I think there is no better way to wrap up this category than with a funky little horror written before the 70s. If you want to be really OG about it, you could read Dracula. Or if you're more on my kind of vibe, you could always go for the amazing book from the 60s, Rosemary's Baby. If you couldn't tell, I love all of these films, and I have many thoughts on books that relate to them. However, read whatever the hell you want. That's the whole point of this. Now, you may have noticed while I've been talking, I've only actually talked about my category, and that's because I am going to leave everyone else's categories up to them. To hear more about the readathon in general and our amazing slasher prompts, you should check out Chloe. To hear about all the live show dates that we're going to be doing over the month of October, and to find out a little bit more about the paranormal prompts, you should check out Sean. And last but certainly not least, if you want to hear about our amazing group book and some really fun, family-friendly prompts, you should check out Lee. Oh, but that's not all. You may have noticed the others all had a really fun added extra thing that they're going to be talking about. Chloe's talking about pretty much everything because she was the brains behind this. Sean is talking about some super fun live shows we're going to be doing, and Lee is talking about our group book, which I'm very excited for it, personally. But what do I have to talk about? Well, I am going to tell you guys about the amazing story graphics that we have. As it turns out, my co-host Lee is not only a cutie pie, is not only an icon, but also an artist. What the hell? And she, along with Chloe, have made these amazing story graphics that I am going to show you now. I probably moved my hands too fast, but we're going to ignore that. Whether you decide to go balls to the wall with one category, you can fill out a story prompt simply for psychological, paranormal, family friendly, or slasher. Or if you want, we have a bunch of mixed media ones where you can post what books you're reading, how many books you've read, whether it be 4, 6, or 9. Being me, will I read more than 9? Maybe. So you might see me using more than one story post, which would be very funky fresh for me. And I just wanted to give a massive, massive shout out to Lee. Obviously, if you see these, are they not iconic? Are they not super funky fresh? Honestly, I think it's kind of unfair for Lee to be so talented, but that's just me. My humble opinion. If you want to grab one of our story graphics and join along with us in the Readathon, you can check out our Instagram page, Fright at the Movies Readathon, and I'll link it down below as well. If you couldn't tell, I'm kind of buzzing for this. Not only is this baby's first Halloween readathon, it is the first readathon that I'm actually kind of involved in. Look at me being a grown-up, actually doing things. Booktube icon? Okay, that's stretching it a bit too far. I know there are tons of amazing readathons going on throughout the month of October. Even if you aren't joining in with the Fright at the Movies readathon, feel free to pop in the live shows. Use them as a good way to have some reading sprints on in the background. If you are interested in the readathon, please comment down below. Let me know, do you have any plans on what you're going to read? Even if you're not joining in, what are you planning on doing for Halloween? And before this video gets obnoxiously long, I'm gonna go. My name is Ray. I'm buzzing for Halloween, and for once in my life, I'm standing. Ooh woo.